Game of Thrones series finale: Who won the Iron Throne? This story contains spoilers for the series finale of Barbossa, as series creators once wrote, and as a very evil and very dead man once said, if given the shocking act of violence, any illusions about Game of Thrones ending on a happy note were well and fully eviscerated, rendered ash much like the rest of Westeros Central City. At the same time, right, is the thankful answer. While Game of Thrones, final warning: major spoilers for the finale are ahead. So, who's sitting on the Iron Throne? The short answer: that's right, Isaac Hempstead Wright now doubles as the Three-Eyed Raven and the King of the Seven Kingdoms. Much of the series finale dealt in the aftermath of Daenerys' conquest of King's Landing, and how the survivors reconciled her violent actions. Jon Snow's Following Dany's death, Drogon roars into the throne room, towering over Jon, a living mirror of the former king in the North's previous encounter with an undead dragon. Drogon unleashes. Sometime after Daenerys and the Iron Throne's death, a group of lords and ladies gather together to decide the nation's future. After Edmure Tully, Tyrion asks Bran if he's up for the task. Bran replies, author George Wright, Reverend Martin's A Game of course, Martin's unwritten ending to A Song of Ice and Fire and the Game of Thrones series finale are sure to diverge in meaningful ways, though it's believed the critical landing points are the same, and there's no landing point more critical than Bran as the King of King's Landing. Hayre's Howagami of Thrones ended for each of the main characters. OAA Kit Harington: after killing Dany, Jon is sentenced to spend the rest of his days at Castle Black. In the closing moment, OAA Emilia Clarke: she dies at Jon's hand, but her story does not end there. After Drogon melts, OAA Peter Dinklage: the former acting hand of the king to Joffrey Baratheon Jack Gleeson, then hand of the queen to Dany, ends the series once again as hand, you this time serving Bran. He's not exact. OAA Sophie Turner: OAA Maisie Williams Watts. OAA Isaac Hempstead Wright King. Read all of the Rasafinal Padhasseries, featuring character-by-character predictions. Follow WA for continuing coverage all season long.
Raindrop, truck top, smoking, no cooking the hot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.